And we begin with Senate District 35 race. The newly drawn District 35 covers much of Benton and Washington counties. Representative Gayla McKenzie is one of the two Republicans facing off in the runoff election in June. And McKenzie and Tyler Dees were the top two candidates. Tyler Dees were the top two candidates in the Republican primary for Senate District 35. Now, Representative McKenzie joins us now on 4029 News on the Record from Gravette. Now, thank you so much for joining us, Representative. Let's get to know you a little bit better. Tell us a little bit about your district and what you are currently doing.
I currently serve District 92 in the House of Representatives. I'm in my second term, so that means I'm in my fourth year, and I represent the Bella Vista, Gravette, and some of the surrounding smaller towns and small portions of Centerton and Bentonville right now.
And tell us a little bit about your background.
So I have a degree in music education from the U of A. Then I have my law degree. I am a licensed attorney, but I haven't practiced in some time. I founded and owned and programmed Variety 106.5 KBVA radio for 26 years. That's what I did. Loved it. And now I sold that in about 3 years ago and started a stone veneer manufacturing business here in Gravette. We manufacture the stone veneer that goes on facades of buildings and fireplaces.
Okay, what do you believe are the top three issues for your constituents in Senate District 35?
As I go door to door, of course, it varies some, as you would expect. Different people are going to focus on different things. Certainly people care about education. I'm finding people want to talk about that across the board, and that's certainly a subject matter that I have a great deal of interest in. And of course, I find a lot of people asking me, are you pro-life? They want to make certain that I'm pro-life. That's an important issue to a number of people in my district. And I also find that they want to talk about, obviously everybody's experiencing, it's more of a federal issue, but the inflation, it's hard on small businesses across the country, but it's hard on small businesses here. I'm a small business owner. And so I find that not just so much when I go door to door, but just when I actually hear from constituents and talk to other people, that the struggles that small businesses are facing right now with the rise in prices and the labor shortage and so many things, that's a big issue.
How can the state help those small businesses? How can the state help everyday Arkansans do a little bit better in this type of economic climate?
Well, with regard to small businesses, I think what we need to do is we have got to remove a lot of the barriers. I hear from constituents a lot, and I've been trying to walk through a number of them with some of the problems they're having with some of the licensing issues. And we need to make sure that there's a time and place, obviously, for different licensing, but we can get too burdensome. And when businesses right now are already facing so many struggles, the last thing we need to do is make it even harder for them to stay open or to open a new business, because it is a very difficult climate here. So that's one thing. There are many things, but that's one thing I think we need to do is make sure that we have a very small business friendly climate. We want a climate for all our businesses that are friendly, but sometimes big business can get a little bit more of the oxygen, so to speak, and we want to make sure that we are mindful that our small businesses, they're the heart of our community.
Okay. You mentioned education. As a legislator, what can we do with education? And as education is a top issue, what are your thoughts? What are the needs to change? And what is the state doing well currently?
All right, we need to, I believe, and I have a record of talking about this, Little Rock sometimes, I believe, gets in the way. We really do. We have good intentions, and some of the things that we are doing, I think, science of reading, I think is hopeful. So I'm positive about some things we have done, but I've also seen that time and time again in our education committee, I am seeing bills that are coming through there that are removing local control, that are oftentimes saddling that more and more burdens, more and more paperwork, busy work. And if we look at that bill, and I oftentimes think, is this going to improve what really matters? Our kids' reading scores, their ability, mastering the things that we are really their task to do. Is this bill going to do that? Or is it just going to actually hinder the teachers because we're going to keep them busier, doing more paperwork? Do we ever evaluate it? Was there a point to it? So I think that we really need to evaluate the purpose of each bill. We have too many bills, And that's especially true in education. And I think sometimes it really works against our schools and our teachers and what our parents want out of education.
And do you think more power needs to go to local school boards then?
I do, and I hear from parents, school board members, teachers, when they say, "Look, sometimes Little Rock's not listening to us. Sometimes the wrong people have the ear on some of these bills, and they're coming through, and sometimes it's not even a constituent-driven bill, which I think our bills need to be. It's constituent-driven, and that means." Is it a local problem that we're trying to fix? And first of all, if it's just a local problem, doesn't need to have a statewide answer is a big question. But sometimes we have out-of-state entities, out-of-state grant programs coming in here. Hey, here's a great idea. Let's do this. And yet that's not what our people, our parents, our school districts are wanting. And we need to make sure we get that focus back in education on what we're there to do, to educate our kids, to give them the tools they need to be successful today and in the workforce when they graduate.
Representative McKenzie, we're out of time for this block, but we'll be back in 2 minutes with more questions with Representative Gayla McKenzie running for the Senate District 35 Republican nomination in the runoff in June.